So let's talk about literary work, writing. They always say that if you want to hide something from us, keep it in a book, right? But I'm glad to tell you that we're beginning to change that narrative. I think we've done a good work at changing that, but we still have quite a job to do in that sector. We're joined on the program this morning by Alison Cole-Chiori, and he will essentially be walking us through his journey as a literary artist. I don't know if that's something, but you're welcome to the Morning Brief, Alison.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Good to have you. We started the year sort of with a lady, Isioma, who read 150 books. Said she read 150 books last year. I don't know for you as a writer if that's yes, someone appreciates our work. Let's start with that, particularly the culture of reading and maybe writing in this part of the world.
I feel like it's getting to a point where I feel like people are going back to it because I think Nigeria has a rich literary culture. So it's getting back to that point, but we're not there yet. We're not there yet. I think we need to do more things in terms of like indie authors. So like, for instance, I'm in London, I could write a book and publish it on Amazon. And, anyone can just go and order the book. I get paid by Amazon after it has been bought. I don't have any expenses beforehand. So 2 of my first books were self-published. And that kind of like helped me to like get in the light. And I had to pay for so many things from my own pockets. And now I'm signed to a literary agency.
That's brilliant.
So yeah, it's something that, the government needs to try and look into it, see how they can support authors. Because there are loads of indie authors out there that need this support from the government. And even, say, private sector investment, things like that would go a long way.
And I know that there are platforms that are coming up in Nigeria doing some work, but it is like sometimes a drop in the ocean because you have, imagine a nation of 200 million people. I mean, a percentage of that are writers, prospective writers. So we still need a lot of that structure which you talk about. And I think this is maybe some sort of wake-up call to people who are thinking about it. There's a big opportunity here for people like that. But this is a year a lot of people want to write, right? A lot of people, yes, they have their target, read 5 books in a month or what have you. But this is a year that a lot of people also want to write, share their experience, their stories, and the rest. So maybe you give us a toolkit for a writer. I know there's writer's block, definitely. Maybe that's like 60% of that. But what's the toolkit? What are the things you have to get sorted if you want to write and ensure you succeed at it?
If you want to write, I think you need to read a lot. You need to read things that interest you.
Interesting.
So in that way, you can write things that things that will come to you easily. Like for me, for instance, I could just be in the shower and I'll get inspiration. I'll have to run out of the shower, pick a pen or get on my laptop, type on my notes. So you just have to be ready, anytime it comes to you.
Really? That's all? You make it sound so simple. So why do we have people who've been trying to write for like years now and they've not gone past chapter 1 and 2? But let's talk about your influences.
That's what I do. Like, it comes easy to me. So
great.
That's just what I do.
And that's fantastic. So let's talk about the influence, because I think there's so much culture, there's so much experience that we have, and it's still largely untapped. So what do we bring to the game? And I say that in the sense of trying to also showcase the fact that there's a lot of dynamism here, and there's a lot that the world should really look out for in this part of the world. So what are the flavors we bring to the game?
When you say we, is it me as a person or me as a Nigerian? I think we have a really rich culture.
Yeah.
We have a really rich culture. So for instance, me being in the diaspora, I can easily fuse my Nigerian culture with any experience I'm currently having out here. So for me, and I can borrow from different cultures. I can borrow, like my new book that I'm writing with a literary agency I signed with that's based in Budapest. I've tried to infuse Yoruba culture to it. I've tried to infuse Igbo culture because I feel like that's one thing that you can't take away from a Nigerian. we have really rich culture. And if you can infuse that into your writing and make people see it in a good light, you can't go wrong with it. Can't go wrong with it. That's why we have so many outstanding authors from Nigeria.
All right, so let's come to a few things about writing. Let's talk about the impact of AI on writing, because these days, when there was no AI, people read books, people write. These days, even if you submit your thesis or your project, they subject it to plagiarism and the AI test and all of that. How has it impacted or helped writing for you?
I think it can be used positively, but it has negative effects now. For instance, like everyone is an author these days, and sometimes you just see like low quality stuff being put out. People just release anything and say, yeah, I'm an author, because you can just put in prompts, AI would help you. But in terms of like fleshing out an idea, say you want to write a book, okay, this is the plot. You can use AI to like, okay, say, give it like direction, and then you do the writing. But I don't think anyone should be using AI to write a full book. That's just diabolical.
You talked about quality of work. How do you assess a great work? And what do you call quality?
That's subjective. That's subjective.
Yeah, that's why I asked the question. In your books.
In my books, I try to just be authentic. I infuse philosophy with, love. I talk about like topics that I feel like I've experienced. And another thing I do, so for my master's for my degree was English literature. My master's, it was film, novel to film adaptation. So what I've been trying to do recently with my writing is I'm trying to do it the other way around. I'm trying to bring film to book. So my imagery, that's one thing I've been complimented on. My imagery is really good, and I'm confident about my imagery. So when I write, I try and make it interesting. I try and use simple language, but I try to still make the imagery rich. So that's one of the key things I do. That's what brings quality to my work. If you're reading my book, the aesthetics of it, like, for instance, let me show you. My pages are like black and, purple. There's loads of stuff, like, just to get people interested. And, as much as I'm working on the aesthetics, I'm also working on the content as well. So everything is just pure. Like,
it's interesting. I don't know what. I don't know what I've heard from screen to books. I hear from books to screen. So how do you do that?
So what I do is, so when I was doing creative, I think my lecturer in uni kind of like started it. So when I was doing creative writing, one of the creative writing courses when I was at the University of Buckingham, one of my lecturers, she told me, Alison, I think your writing is more like suited to film. You should lean towards like writing for film. But I do that now anyway. I do that for work outside of my personal writing. But what I've been able to do is, keep that same level of imagery, but make it prose. And for me, I think it's amazing, and I get loads of feedback from it. The way I describe stuff, the way I make you feel like you're really in the book, you're really watching it. As you're reading it, it's like you're envisioning every part of the book.
It just reminds me of Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe, where we had to live in that zone where he created. So African influences for you. So two in one question. Do you have African writers that have influenced you? And are there African writers right now that you respect, and you like to? I don't know when it comes to books. For movies, you always ask questions like, who do you like to collaborate with? But I don't think that works with authors.
Because I write poetry sometimes, I can easily collaborate with other poets. I've collaborated with poets from Caribbean, St. Lucia. I've collaborated with poets from here, from England. And in terms of African writers, I really enjoy Chimamanda. I enjoy her stuff. I've read all of Professor Wole Soyinka's works. But my favorite writer, my favorite book from an African is Baba Shegi and his Owashegizwa is by Lola Shoneyin.
Yeah. Interesting. I think it's really unfair, the kind of skill set you pack for a writer, because you're also into fashion, I understand.
I'm wearing my design.
There you go. So it's, as I said, it's really unfair because you expect to just write those books and, sign autographs, but you are doing designs, you're writing for movies. It's not right, but I think it just talks about versatility, how you don't need to box yourself. A lot of people just think, I am one thing and that's what I should be, forgetting that you can bring influences from your different skill set and bring it in. But I understand that you have a very interesting background as well. Born in Adamawa State, am I correct?
Yes. I was born in the north because my dad was working as a missionary. So we used to travel around the north, Adamawa, Jos, Kaduna, Kano. He had churches. He was working with Assemblies of God at the time, so he was moving around. So I move around a lot. I even lived in Benin at some point.
Interesting. So I think some of these influences are responsible for your creativity as well.
100%.
So,
100%.
On a final note, you maybe have not stayed. I think you've stayed outside Nigeria longer than you've stayed in Nigeria. Am I correct?
I've been outside. No, actually, I've been outside Nigeria for like 9 years now.
Okay, so you've been more in Nigeria than you've been outside Nigeria.
Yes.
So what is that thing you always try to show people about Nigeria that they seem not to get? I know we can talk about the challenges we face in Nigeria, but some will tell you that the challenge is not Nigeria. Maybe it's about a system or a set of people or a certain government, but not Nigeria. So you have to separate maybe Nigeria from those challenges. So what is it that you try to preach about Nigeria to the world that you just wish that the world would understand and value about this country?
2 words: positivity and resilience. Even though the positivity is like up to the point, when you do too much of everything, it becomes a problem. It's up to the point where it's like problem, but it's a good thing regardless. The positivity, Nigerians are such positive people. We take situations and sad situations and we're laughing about it. That's a good thing, but then it has a bad side. Then resilience. You can't keep a Nigerian down. That's just one thing you can't keep. You can't keep a Nigerian down. But always striving to be better, just striving for more. And I think that's a plus, because if you meet loads of non-Nigerians, you see the difference.
Yeah. That's beautiful, and we can actually feel that energy from you. We have to thank you so much for the great work
thank you so much
for breaking barriers, just doing you. We've been speaking with Alison Cole-Chiori. Look forward to your journey in 2025 and beyond. Thank you.
Bye.
Well, we'll take a moment now, and when we return, we're knocking on a few doors. Well, if you count, maybe 7 doors and more. We're speaking with a very creative individual who's responsible for some of the designs you've seen in big works. That's in a moment. So stay with us.